In this video, I'm going to show you the most common hiding spots in the museum for block hunt, so that whenever you're a hunter, you can basically know what the important hiding spots are. So, when you start out as a hunter, what you're basically going to want to do is you're going to want to start by heading towards the right side of the map, because on the right side of the map, that's where most of the hiders are going to be, and that's because if you keep going this way, you'll see where the hider spawn is, and most hiders tend to hide near their spawn. So when you're starting out as a hunter, the first common hiding spot is right here in this haystack. It's only one, right here. So if you see a hay bale right here, then this is a fake block. So for the TNT that you see in front of me right now, I'd say the common spots for those, I would say right here, it's definitely a common spot. This is also a fake block. And this one, I'd say it's the most common one out of these TNT stacks. Definitely right here, this is definitely a fake block. So definitely know that one. Right here, if you see a flower pot right here, notice how we have two of those furnace pot. One of those flower pots has to be fake then. So if you just know that, you could be able to recognize it. That's not the only common spot for flower pots over here. Right here is also a common spot. So if you see a flower pot right here, then it's fake. You might also see a flower pot in one of these cauldrons. I'm not actually going to go in it because I'll glitch. But the way to easily see these flower pots is to have F3 B on. So pressing F3 and B at the same time will turn on hitboxes, and that's what you're going to need to do in order to see that. But of course you don't need it on, but it'll help you get a lot more kills. Next common spot, you might see a bookshelf right here. So if you see a bookshelf here, then it's fake. For right here, for furnaces, if you see a furnace right here, I should be a furnace, but I'm a stone block. But if you see a furnace right here, then it's fake. So the block diamond, if it's a furnace, it's fake. If you see a bookshelf over here, for example, right here, this is a fake bookshelf, or this. These are the common spots in this stack. Then it's fake. Another thing for these note blocks right here, I'd say that the common one would be right here. If you see a note block right here, then it's fake. Note block right here, then it's fake. So those are the common spots here. Okay, so now I'm going to show you this little area right here. So it goes up to here. So for this haystack, it looks pretty large, but I'm going to show you the common spots. Really, the common spot would be right here. This is the most common spot in this haystack, right here. But you might also see a haystack right here. If you see this is also a hay bale. This is also a fake hay bale. I guess if you see anything on top, like a hay bale right here, or a hay bale right here, then it's fake. I don't usually see this, but if you see that, then it's fake. Okay. Next. Notice how you have these leaves up here. So a leaf, like some leaves over here, leaves over here. You might see a flower pot or a chicken on them. So right here. You might see a flower pot over there. Flower pot, you might see a flower pot right there, flower pot over there, flower pot over here. These are really common, by the way. This is probably the most common thing you might see. Flower pot right there, flower pot right there, there. This one's commonly missed for a flower pot. There's actually could be a flower pot right there. So those leaves, you're going to want to take a quick look at those. So next, we have this melon stack. So there's actually there's quite a large amount of people, of spots that are quite common here. For example, this is a pretty common spot. You might also see this, so right there. You could see this. Another thing, this one you could see. I guess you sometimes see one right here, but the most common spot in this melon stack is right here. This is definitely the most common spot in that melon stack. Another thing, for bookshelves, right here you might see a bookshelf. Right here. This one, I actually missed this one quite a lot, but you might see a note block right here. So don't let that one fool you. If it's not remember, it could be a note block or a flower pot, so there could be one right there. Now, if you see a third flower pot on top of the note blocks, so like a third one on top of them, then one of them has to be fake. You might see a flower pot right over here. Another thing, you could actually see an anvil right here. I'm not going to try it. I am going to try it. Check this out. Okay, actually I can't do it. Oh, I did it. Okay, so a flower, an anvil right here. If you see an anvil right there, that's a fake anvil. You might, this is definitely a really common spot. You see a bookshelf right here. It could be another block. This looks pretty good. Next, if you see a furnace right here, so a furnace right here, this is a fake furnace. And that's pretty much it for this room. And just don't forget to check the leaves for flower pots. So once you get to this room actually is going to contain the most hiders in it, most of the time. So this room is very, very important to know about. So the first stack we're going to go over is this haystack right here. I'd say this is the most common stack, or most common spot in the map, and probably the most common spot in this haystack. So another common spot is right here. So if you see 2 in a row like that, that one's fake. If you see 2 in a row like this, then it's fake. You might also see a haystack right here. If you see that, then it's fake. Now, you might also see one on top. If you see one on top, then if you see like more than one of these haystacks on top, then one of them has to be fake. Okay, with these note blocks right here, there's actually many different spots there could be. For example, right here, this is a fake block. So notice sometimes when you realize when there's too many note blocks in a row, there's only supposed to be this many, like 3 note blocks, 5 note blocks, 1 note block. If you see like this many row, it's just too many. So this one has to be fake. For example, you might also see one right here. You'll eventually be able to recognize that this is way too many note blocks in a row. So one of them has to be fake. This is also a fake note block. If you see a note block right here, then it's fake. That's pretty much it. You might also see a note block right here though, right here. Then it's fake. I've actually seen this quite a little bit. If you see an anvil in one of these spots, so right here or right here, then it's fake. Yeah, we've gone over this area. Now let's go a little bit over this area right here. So with bookshelves, you might see a bookshelf right here. You might also see one right here. You might also see a bookshelf right here. Okay, so that's basically it for bookshelves. For furnaces, there's actually quite a few over here. If you see 3 furnaces in a row like this, then it's fake. If you see a furnace right here, notice how it's in between these 3 blocks, then it's fake. If you see a furnace right here, notice how there's 3 in a row. That would be fake. And let's see, I think that's pretty much it. You might see a furnace right here. Then those are pretty much the spots. Okay, with these note blocks over here, I'd say the common one that you would see is one right here. So if you see a note block, so notice how there's one right here, so this would be a fake block. And I guess if you generally know what the stack looks like, you'll be able to recognize them all eventually. See, there's a lot of spots that there could be. I'm just mentioning the common ones. Also with melons, if you see one right here, this is the most common spot in this melon stack, by the way. Right here. This is right here behind this. It's the most common spot. And you might see one right here. I saw this one today. You could see one on top like this. So one like this or one like this. So if you were able to recognize that, that's pretty good. Okay. You might actually see some dude like this. Some dude hiding like this as a flower pot. Again, once you're in this room right here, once you're entering this room, the rules of that room over there, which we went over, still applies over here. In other words, you might see a flower pot over here, a flower pot up there, a flower pot up there, or up there. Okay, so let's go over this area over here. So we're going over this. So with this furnace stack, I'd say the only common spot over here is basically a block right here. So if you see this, then it's fake. This one is a lot more common of a stack to hide in than the furnaces. If you see a bookshelf right here, then it's fake. So, or a bookshelf right here. And I'd say this one's pretty common. This one, if you see a bookshelf here, that's fake. You might see a bookshelf right here. Okay, flower pots, I guess if you know that there's 3 flower pots and you see like a 4th flower pot right here, then it would be, then you could just pretty much know there's 3 flower pots over here. Okay, with melons, I'd say melons are pretty important. Right here, if you see, you've probably seen some of my videos, you've seen there could be 2 melons over here. Yeah, this is definitely a pretty common spot to hide it from the melons. So one right here or one right here. So that would be fake. You sometimes see a melon or even a flower pot hide right here. Yeah, that's basically it for this stack. Also, for anvils, you might see an anvil right here. And so right here, that's the only common spot for any of the anvils, I would say. This is just like the bookshelves, if you recall, from the other room, which is that other really narrow room over there. It's just like the bookshelves, where you might, instead of bookshelves, we have a haystack. So you might see a haystack right here. You might also see a haystack right here. Again, you might see a flower pot in here. Again, you should have it beyond. You might see a second bookshelf. I actually do see this. You've probably seen this in one of my videos, a second bookshelf on top. Yes, this, as you can see, it's kind of similar to that other narrow room. You might see a bookshelf right here. Now, this is a very common spot, but the way that you check to see if there's anything in there, you don't have to waste your time hitting with axe. You could just use your bow to shoot them, and it will always shoot the player and not the sheep. I don't know, it works, but if you do that, then it will do that. So this is a really common spot, so I always, even if I don't even see the hider, I just launch my bow in there. Okay, next. I'd say right here, the common spot here would be a bookshelf, or a note block right here. This would definitely be a common spot. And that's basically it for this. Next, for this haystack right here, so let's just keep in mind, we did the melons. We did this, we did the melons. We have all this done, and we looked over here. We did this. Now we're at the last 2 things. So this stack right here, if you see, this is the most common spot in this haystack, by the way. If you see a hay bale right here, this is a fake hay bale. So right there, that's the most common one there. The second most common, I would say, is right here. And I'd say that would basically be it. Like, you don't really see anything over here. Not even right here. Like, you don't need to know each individual one, because I don't even know this. I don't know about these. I only know this and this, really. But there's actually something else I know that I'm going to tell you about in a minute. Okay, so that's basically it. So those 2 spots, right there and right there. So let's move on to the TNT. So for TNT, there's a lot more that could be going on. For example, you might see a TNT right here. So this stack at the corner, if you see a block right here, it's fake. Another one, 3 in a row seems like a lot. You actually do see this one quite a lot. So this would be a fake block. I don't know why people hide that far away from the TNT stack. But you might also see a TNT right here. Yes, it's really weird. You might see a flower pot hiding in this cauldron. I don't know why you would do that. That's basically it. But that's not it. What I mean by that is, another thing that's really interesting about these stacks, maybe you realize it, maybe you not, but notice what this stack looks like. Notice what it looks like. It looks like this. Now, check this out. This one looks really similar to it. See this? This looks really similar to that stack we just saw. You know what else is funny? This also looks similar. Notice how they all look really, really similar to each other. And so I would basically just know what this looks like. So let me just go over that for a brief second. Notice this stack, notice this stack, and notice this stack look really similar to each other. And sometimes you might just see a fake block right here. And so it just happens, like, oh wow, this is a fake block, right? One of them has to be fake, and I just hit it because I know it doesn't look like that normal structure I see. And so that's one of the things you could recognize. One quick thing I forgot to mention is that there are always 4 sheep over here. Meaning if I'm a sheep, so I'm a sheep right now, I'm a fake hider. So if you see more than 4 sheep in this area, so I see 1, 2, 3, 4, if you see a 5th sheep, then one of them has to be fake. So more than 4 sheep, one of them has to be fake. Okay, so that basically covers this little room right here. So the next little thing we have to go over is just this room over here. So what basically you could see is, you could see a flower pot hiding right here. So that would be fake. You might also see a second flower pot hiding like this. I can kind of see why they would do that. Basically that's pretty much it. I mean, if you really see anything else. And that's basically pretty much it. Okay, another thing. This is much more important than those blocks, but you might also see any block. So basically any block at all could be hiding in this tunnel, right? So it's usually a chicken, but you might see a block hiding here. Now another thing is, some of the even good hiders, some people might be thinking, oh, I'm just gonna look in there to see if there's anything in that corner right there. That's what I used to do until I realized, wait a minute, that's a mistake, and I'm just gonna go in there and check. Because if there's a hunter coming, wouldn't it make sense the hider would move this way to make sure that they aren't being found? That's usually what they do. So don't let that fool you. Make sure you always just go in here to see if there really is any hider. Okay, so that's basically it for this room. Another thing you might see is in this tree. This is definitely one of the most common spots in the map. There's a really good chance that you're going to see someone on the tree. Flower pot, chicken, sometimes you see even anything. Usually it's a flower pot or a chicken. And basically what you want to do is you're going to want to just look to see, because there's multiple spots they could just be at. So you just want to look in the tree. And one more spot we have to go over, or one more area that we have to go over. It's in here. I just didn't go over it because I didn't want to go over this and that at the same time. So just this little area right here. So this is actually has some pretty common spots in here. For example, you might see tends to be a flower pot and not a melon. Usually it's a flower pot right here for some reason and not a melon. So this is a common spot. Over here, usually there is no block. If there is no block, there's one right here. But if you see a flower pot, not a flower pot. So if you see a flower pot, it's usually going to be one right here. That's usually what you're going to see, and I don't really see. This is usually what you see. It's not usually anything else. Let's see. For some reason, I would basically just know what this room looks like, because you could see anything here. For example, a flower pot. There might be a flower pot right here. It's usually a flower pot, usually not anything else. Then again, sometimes you see a bookshelf right here. Basically, if you know that these are this anvils, like I saw an anvil right here today. You might also just see, if you basically know what the room looks like because you're going to pass by it multiple times, then you'll know what blocks to point out. And that is basically it for the right side of the map. Sure, you might see, you'll have to really take a look, but there might be a flower pot on top of that white tent. There might be a flower pot or a chicken on top of there, right, all up there. I've even seen a chicken and flower pot over on that area up there. If you look over here, yeah, you could also see a bookshelf right here. If there is a flower pot here, this is a really interesting thing I found out. But no matter where you hide as a flower pot, by the way, that is a flower pot. It was a glitch. So right here, this is a flower pot, a glitch for some reason. No matter where you hide as a flower pot, you're always going to be next to some other block. Like, I can't hide as a flower pot when I'm not next to another block. So if you see a flower pot that's next to a flower pot, such as this, then one of those flower pots has to be fake. Another thing you might see is over here. So all the way over here, you should just know that there's 3 flower pots here. You might see a furnace right here, right here. Actually, no, furnace right here, furnace right here. You might see this. This is a common one. It's possible to get up there. That's a fake spot. Okay. Okay, you might see a flower pot on that tent, so you're going to really have to take a look. This is a really common spot if you see a flower pot or a chicken up there, and usually you have to really take a look to make sure there's nothing there. Let's see. As you can see, there's not really many common spots over here, but you definitely do have a good chance of seeing at least one hider over here. Like, it just makes sense. Really, you might see a flower pot or a chicken up there. So notice we have those leaves again. You might see a bookshelf right here. Let's see. I don't really know. Like, I know some of these spots, but they're not really that common. Let's see, anything. I don't really know if there's anything else. It's usually all on the right side of the map.